Hello, my beautiful, amazing people. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my 𝙁𝘾𝙊𝘾 Cult Friday video. I hope you're having a nice Friday evening, or you might not even be in this country, because I be acting like people only in the United States watch my videos. Like, it's open to the whole world. So it might be morning for you. So I hope you're having a nice morning. But whatever time it is, I hope you're enjoying your day. I hope you guys are feeling blessed and feeling amazing. I always wish and not wish, I don't like to use that word, but I always hope the best and send the most beautiful, amazing, positive thoughts to you guys. So I really hope you're enjoying your day. So I actually was pretty excited to get into this video because I did not ever really think that I would find this information. So I used to have a whole collection of all of my studies that I did when I was in the 𝐼COC, but I obviously threw them all away. So out of curiosity, I was going online and I was looking at some information and stuff, reading some articles and stuff. I always look up information and research more on cults and how they work. And I ended up Googling the Bible studies and not thinking that I would actually find all of them. I found all of the Bible studies. I was so hyped. I was like, yes, I am going to do a whole series on all of these studies. Now, I'm not going to be doing these studies in order, all right? But I will list them to you in order, but I'm not going to be doing them in order. But I'm definitely going to be doing all of them. So this is our new series for the 𝙁𝘾𝙊𝘾 Cult Friday. So if you're interested in knowing all about the Bible studies and the breakdown of it, then make sure you check out. I'm gonna have a playlist created specifically for this. So this website, I'm also going to make sure I link it down below for you guys, all right? And if you're not following me yet on Instagram, make sure you're following me. That's my Instagram name on the screen, 𝘾𝙊𝘾_J. You can follow me there. You can send me a DM if you want to speak to me. That's the best way. Otherwise, I'm also on Facebook, 𝘾𝙊_J, or you could email me. My email is tinamjcoaching@gmail.com. You'll also find that information down below in the description box. So let's get straight into this video. All right, so we're going to talk about the discipleship study. So if you were a part of the 𝙁𝘾𝙊𝘾, or if you've been doing any studies with the 𝙁𝘾𝙊𝘾, then I'm sure that you know about the discipleship study. And in the discipleship study, you learn all about being a disciple, what their definition is of being a disciple. They speak, from what I remember when I did my discipleship study, I remember they spoke to me about having to be discipled and to help keep me going, to help, like they have to help keep you on track after you do your baptism. So it's like you're basically like a student. So during the discipleship study, you pretty much learn about being a disciple of Christ and about what being a true Christian is. And so this is something I really want to get into. Like, okay, let's just get into this. I'm getting excited. I'm sorry, because I'm like looking through, I'm talking and I'm looking for the article, and as I'm looking, I'm finding all this other interesting stuff, and it's just distracting me. All right, so let's just talk about the discipleship study. So now these are the scriptures that they use. Oh, I should have wrote this down for you guys. I'm sorry. But you can pause this video if you want to write them down. But also listen, if you have not done studies yet, but you have been offered to begin studies, or you've been thinking about doing studies, or you're thinking, you know what, let me look up information first. This is where you want to be. I'm going to give you everything that you need to know, as much as I can, all right? And then I'm going to break down from my experience as being a member for 7 years of the 𝙁𝘾𝙊𝘾. All right, so here's the scriptures they use. They use Acts 11:19 through 26, Mark 1:14 through 18, Luke 9:23 through 26, Luke 9:57 through 62, Luke 14:25 through 35, Luke 11:1 through 4, and Matthew 28:18 through 20. Next time, I'm just going to write all that down if I read all that. All right, so you guys could pause it. I'll actually link these down below as well for you. I'll put these in the comment section, matter of fact. So I'm going to begin reading the article. It says the discipleship study may be perceived by the student, which is you, the new recruit, as a well-meaning attempt to encourage them. Ugh, that word still makes me feel cringy. Encourage them toward a deeper commitment to Christ. However, the study will also attempt to establish that the student has never been a disciple, is not a Christian, and is not saved. In first principles, one of the listed purposes of the discipleship study is to help the religious person see that he is not a Christian. In other words, he may be a Christian as society defines the word, but not as the Bible does. Any person outside the group, even the religious person, and they have that in quotations, is assumed to be in need of salvation. So anyone outside of the group who is religious is in need of salvation because they're not really Christians. They think they are, but they're not. Once it has been determined that the student is not a disciple, following studies will demonstrate the need for baptism into the church. So this is actually very, 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 in fact, true, because I remember when I was in my studies, this was actually the time when I learned that I was never a Christian to begin with. Even though I always consider myself Christian, I mean, granted, I kind of was like born into Christianity, so it wasn't a choice given to me. It wasn't like I one day was like, you know what, I'm going to go to church today. But I was taking my faith more seriously when I got into my early 20s. I started taking my faith a lot more seriously, and I did consider myself a Christian. And when I started doing the studies, that was when I learned, like, no, you're not even a Christian at all. You're not saved at all. You were never a Christian. In fact, your mom isn't a Christian neither, even though my mom be speaking in tongues. I'm not saying that makes you a Christian, but I know my mom. My mom is pretty Christ-like in my opinion. If you was to compare me to my mom is pretty Christ-like to me. I've known many Christians, and I learned during the study, no one that I know is a Christian. Why? Because they're not in this church. So that's a huge red flag that you really have to pay attention to when you join something that tells you, oh, no. That's not true. That's not true. In fact, you think that that's the life you were living, but we're here to let you know that because you were not here at this location, your whole life is a lie. So now you're going to truly start living because now you're attending this specific location, this specific place. All right, so let's move along. I'm sorry, I'm just skipping through a little bit. All right, here we go. This is important. The study leader may begin by explaining that the word disciple appears over 270 times in the New Testament. Oh my God, this is so true. I have not read this article. I just kind of skimmed through before I decided to do it for the video. As it's compared to only 3 appearances of the word Christian. So I do remember that very specifically. They would tell me the word disciple appears over 270 times in the New Testament because the ICOC, they only read from the New Testament. God forbid you come in there with anything else. I made that mistake one time, and I thought that I was going to be kicked out. I was like, wow, okay, relax. But they compare it to how many times the word Christian is used. And I do remember that. And this is why they call everyone a disciple, whoever is there. They don't say, oh, I'm a Christian. They'll say, I'm a disciple of Christ. Like, calm down. Just say Christian. All that extra. I used to do that too. Let me stop talking like I wasn't one of them. All right, let's move on. All right. It says here, this equation is derived from Acts 11:26. The disciples were first called Christians at Antioch. This is like seriously giving me crazy, insane memories. I remember this so well. The reasoning is the earliest believers were called disciples before they were ever called Christians. Therefore, it is impossible to be a Christian without being a disciple. And one must be a disciple in order to be saved, taken within the context of the entire 11th chapter of Acts. However, the passage seems to be addressing location rather than salvation. The verse appears to be parenthetically stating that it was at Antioch. The disciples were first given the nickname Christians. I'm just going to keep reading along. Acts 11:26 may imply that disciple and Christian. Oh my God, these freaking sirens. I'm sorry, these irritate me. Acts 11:26 may imply that disciple and Christian are both viable terms, which mean the same thing. but Christians are referred to with several different names in the New Testament, including disciples, believers, Christians, brothers, sisters, etc. In fact, the word disciple and all its forms is conspicuously absent from all of the epistles, which are letters, of the New Testament. The fact that the word disciple is not used in 22 of the 27 New Testament books would seem to indicate that adopting the name disciple is not integral to Christianity. So yeah, when I was doing my discipleship study, they did have a huge emphasis on why I needed to use the word disciple and not Christian, like why I needed to go by this specific term and why it was so important in this church based on the New Testament and what the Bible says. And they believe wholeheartedly that they follow the New Testament and they have to follow only the New Testament. And therefore, whatever it says kind of goes to them. But in reality, we also know that they tend to really twist things up a lot when it comes to this church. So now we're going to move on. This is interesting. So I'm going to read this part. It says, one could ask, if discipleship and Christianity are truly synonymous, then what purpose does it serve to shift the student's focus from one term, Christian, to the other term, disciple, by redefining a Christian equals disciple? This study is effective in getting recruits to redefine their spiritual status. Most students coming into the study will already have an idea of what a Christian is and whether or not they are one. But by getting students to focus on the concept of discipleship, study leaders are able to define what a disciple is according to the group's interpretation and ultimately ask the question, are you a disciple? Which they did ask me that. At the end of the study, students may surprise themselves by concluding that they're not Christians after all. This is so accurate that I'm almost getting goosebumps. This is crazy because I remember that in the beginning of that study, I was like, yeah, I'm a Christian. Yeah, I'm a Christian. Yeah, I'm a Christian. By the end of that study, I said, oh, well, I guess I'm not a Christian after all. I mean, I thought I was, but I guess you guys are right. I guess no one I know is a Christian unless they're in this church. Like, that was really how I thought. And it was crazy because in that moment, I also thought to myself, I was like, this is weird because not everybody knows this church exists. This is just weird. But then at the same time, I thought, well, what if they're right? And this is the only way I can get to heaven and no other church is teaching us. Like, what if this church came upon something that no one knows about? Yeah, I really started to develop that thinking. I remember I was just like, what if they fell upon something, a new fact, a new truth that no one else has found? And I found it with them. And I'm lucky. I'm so blessed to have found it. And I really was thinking, like, it's freaking crazy. My daughter just came in from school. I say hi to her and she ignores me. Probably because I call her by her nickname. She hates it when I call her Bucci. But I muted the mic. So whatever. Her friend is outside. So she's probably embarrassed. She's about to be 13. So, they be going through that phase. All right. So let's get back to this. All right. I'm trying to skip a little bit because I'm not trying to read every single thing in here, but it's a lot of good stuff in here, this article. All right. The Discipleship Study outlines the church's view of what a disciple is. To the church, the Great Commission includes a command that all disciples need to be discipled. Being discipled means having a discipler, which is also what they considered a discipleship partner or a discipling partner, a person that each member goes to for spiritual guidance, confession of sins, and approval of any major decisions. Oh my goodness. So I've spoken to you guys about this before, and I know I keep stopping, but I have to interject and throw in because you might not really understand this. So for me to speak, I can speak it in a way where you can understand it. So you have to have really gone through this to really get it. But here we go. For those of you who are new to this and you're considering becoming a member, going through studies, know that this church will force you to have a discipling partner. you don't have a choice. There is no option. They will speak to you about what being a disciple is, and then they will tell you that you have to have, oh, every time I record, every time, and you want to bark. I think he wants to play. They will tell you that you have to have a discipling partner. You cannot be a member, especially as someone who's newly baptized, especially if you've never been to a church before, if you're new to the religion, if you're new to all of this, or if you've just never really taken the faith serious before. They are gonna tell you, oh no, you have to have a discipling partner. And you don't really get to know this person before you have to start exposing yourself to them. You don't get a chance to actually get to know the individual. Your discipling partner, it's kind of forced upon you. You don't get to choose your discipling partner. I've tried that. It didn't work. I had someone that I ended up becoming really close with, and I was like, I would like for this person to be my discipling partner. And they said no, because that person wasn't spiritual enough to be a discipling partner for me. And I was just like, what? This is the only person in the church that understands me. Like, the rest of you are a bunch of robots. Like, nobody gets me except for this one person. This person, if anything, is helping me not leave. So I kind of saw it like, I didn't really understand, why do I need to have someone else that I need to tell all my business to? I had to put my dog on my lap, and he is so heavy. Oh my gosh, he's getting so heavy. So your discipling partner is someone that you have to share a lot of your information with. And not only that, but like it says, confession of your sins. If you've done anything and you don't tell your discipling partner, you're going to end up feeling guilty, because you're going to feel like, dang, I lied. Because there is a study that speaks about sins. That's a sin and repentance study, which we'll also do, but in another video. And they speak about lying. So you're already dealing with the guilt of lying. So now you have to tell your discipling partner about what's going on in your life, because if you don't tell them, then it's almost like you're lying. You know what I'm saying? So you feel guilt. And then the approval of any major decisions. You cannot make any decisions on your own. When you join this church, if you want to, let's say you want to take a class and it falls on a Friday and you're supposed to have Bible talk that day, you can't make that decision. You have to speak to somebody. If you do and they find out, you're going to pretty much get in trouble. If you, let's say, are working in a children's ministry and they find out that you decide to take a class that falls on this day, or a job that falls on this day, and it's any of the days that they like to have every week specifically for the members to meet, they may make you step down because you didn't seek approval. I almost got in trouble one time for accepting a job and not seeking approval, which really was advice. And that's what they call it. They call it seeking advice. So seeking advice is basically when you go to your discipling partner and you ask them for advice when it comes to making the major decision. It could be a relationship decision, being with someone, leaving someone, a job decision, starting a new job, changing careers, becoming a stay-at-home mom, transitioning from being a stay-at-home mom to being a now working mom or business mom. That's a big thing. And literally any major decision that will normally be your own personal business is now their business. And you have to speak to them, because if you don't, whatever you're doing, they most likely will make you step down, or they'll do breakdown sessions with you, which you do not want. But at some point, I think everybody deals with the breakdown sessions at some point. So I'm going to keep reading a little bit more. Let me see. I want to skip through a little bit more. And if you're enjoying this video, then please do leave a like, subscribe, share. Don't be shy. Don't be shy to subscribe. All right, here goes. The ICOC leaders continue to teach. You cannot be baptized until you become a disciple. Sometimes it is phrased that the policy is baptizing only people who have made the decision to be disciples. There are clear and repeating contradictions and inconsistencies on the decision to be a disciple versus being baptized as a disciple. Both things seem to be taught simultaneously, even though the two teachings would appear to be incompatible. As one observer notes, if I made the decision to become a doctor, I still am not a doctor. The doctrine of disciples' baptism produces striking contradictions. So they're speaking about the contradictions. Again, they're speaking about the contradictions of, let me see, baptizing only people who have made the decision to be disciples. Let's see. Okay, producing striking contradictions when compared with other ICOC teachings. Blah, blah, blah. I'm skipping through that. Mommy. Sorry, guys. My daughter came in and started chit-chatting. I'm just going to mute for 1 second. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. Mom duties call. All right, let's move on. Who is a candidate for baptism? Disciples. This is quoted by 𝘾𝙊𝙇𝙏, which is the leader who started the whole thing. Making substitutions from the equation disciple equals Christian equals saved, it would follow logically to conclude who is a candidate for baptism? Christians. Or who is a candidate for baptism? People who are already saved. But these statements conflict with the doctrine. According to the same publication, because they're getting this from a publication, so this article was based off of another publication. Baptism is when we become a Christian, and this baptism is a point in time a person is saved. So to expose the same inconsistency from another angle, consider the following teachings. So the first statement, baptism is when we become a Christian. The second statement, Christian equals disciple. The third statement, you cannot be baptized until you become a disciple. Note the consequence of putting these three statements together. Once again, making substitutions from the equation disciple equals Christian, which equals saved. We can derive from the following statement, you cannot be baptized until you become a Christian. This contradicts the first statement, which is baptism is when we become a Christian. So I don't know, you guys understand what they're saying, but basically it's like it doesn't make sense is what they're saying. It's like it's either one or the other. Which one is it? I don't know how I never picked that up when I was doing my studies. I never really caught on to that contradiction. These contradictions clearly show that the doctrine of disciples' baptism is not internally consistent. All right, so here's the end of it. As a discipleship study comes to a close, the student will be asked if they are a disciple, if they are a Christian, and if they are saved. Since the student has been presented with this idiosyncratic interpretation of discipleship to which no one outside the church subscribes, the only acceptable response to these questions is no. If the study is successful, no matter who the student is and regardless of their religion background, it will prove that the student is in need of salvation as defined by the group. So guys, that was just a little breakdown of a quick little breakdown summary of exactly what it is, what they're going to be teaching you during the study. Basically, the whole study is meant to convince you that you're not a Christian. You were never a Christian. And until you become a Christian here, you will never be a Christian. And it also points out the whole contradiction with the different statements that baptism is when we become a Christian, but a Christian equals a disciple. And you cannot be baptized until you become a disciple. So it's like it really doesn't make any sense, because how are you a disciple and a Christian but you can't be that until you become a disciple, but you can't become a disciple until you become baptized, but you can't. It's just like, it's confusing as hell at the end of the day. It's really confusing. I never really caught on to that, but I thought that was interesting when I was reading it, when I first found the article and I was skimming through it. I was like, that's interesting, because they do have a lot of contradictions. There are a lot of contradictions, but this is one that I never found. And that's the thing, is that sometimes we get so like, I think like we get so caught up and we don't realize like, okay, there are a lot of, I didn't realize I still had this banner at the bottom. I'm sorry. There are a lot of contradictions in this church, the way that they twist the doctrine, the things that they do, the things that they say, the things they preach. They don't really always follow everything they preach. It just doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's up to you. If you decide, I want to join this church, I want to be a member, I want to do studies because I want to learn what this is about. I want to see for myself. You know, this woman is on YouTube and she's saying this and that, and other people in the comments and they're saying this and that, but I want to learn. I want to see for myself. I'm not going to judge you for that, because at the end of the day, that's on you. I am not one of those people who loses sleep over what other people decide to do and choose to do with their own personal life. I don't think any of us should be losing sleep over any of us. I think that at the end of the day, I present it to you as a way to help you, because I don't want you to go through what I have had to go through and experience. And what other people have had to go through experience. And I don't want you to come back with regrets like, dang, you were right. I wish I never went through that, because now I kind of messed my head up a little, because I have had people tell me that. So, and I'm not the type neither to say, well, I told you so. I don't say that to anybody, not even my own family. I will never say I told you so, because sometimes, you know what? We do things, we make our own decisions, and whether the decision was a right one or a wrong one, we just go down a certain direction and then we got to make another decision. So it doesn't make sense to say I told you so, because sometimes we really need to learn for ourselves. And if you feel like this is something you need to learn for yourself, because you feel like you need to be able to find this information out for yourself solely, so that you can know like, okay, at least I didn't just go off of what somebody else said or a bunch of information on YouTube. I went off of myself. Then that's fine. But if you're also somebody who actually did the studies and now you're thinking about leaving the church and you're considering leaving, but you're not sure, then let this be an indication. Let this show you that, yes, these studies is exactly what kind of screwed your head up in the first place. You going through these studies and things that they teach you in these studies is what really messes people up. So that's pretty much it. My experience was my experience. Everyone has their own experience. I think that this church is not for everybody. I think that if you're in this church and you're happy, I am not going to ever tell you that you shouldn't be in it, that you should leave. I'm not ever going to say that. That's not my business for me to say. But I think that you need to really listen to yourself when you do have a feeling. And when you do get a funny vibe about something or someone, you need to really pay attention to it. I mean, that's easier said than done, I know. But I just think that it's important that people are educated and at least know, because honestly, I didn't know these things. I did my studies and all of them felt weird to me, but I was just letting them convince me the whole time, like, this is what I need to do. Because once I learned the information, I couldn't unlearn it. And I was afraid. I was afraid to go back, and I was afraid to be like, let me just go back to my life and just leave this alone. I was afraid of what would happen if I did that. So it was like I was in too deep before I even got in too deep, if you know what I'm saying. Like, it literally takes just a couple of sessions of working with these people, doing these Bible studies in order for you to become brainwashed. And it also depends on your personality. And if you're like me, if you're the type of person that you don't like to be told what to do, you don't like people to, you know, you're private, you like to deal with your own issues with yourself or with your spouse in your own relationship, in your own family, and you don't like people being in your business, and that, because that's how I am, and you feel like I need to make my own decisions when it comes to work, when it comes to school, when it comes to who I choose to marry, this church is not for you, because there is no making your own decisions. I don't care what they tell you. I'm telling you, there is no making your own decisions. I always get passionate, and people confuse my passion when I'm speaking about cults for like bitterness and anger. And I literally have no anger in my heart. It's all love. It's just passion to help people who have gone through it, and people who are going through it, and people who are like, dag, I feel stuck. That's where my passion comes from. I don't care about the people that are in there and want to stay. Let them stay. Shoot, what I'm going to do, let them stay. I am not one trying to make people leave anything. I only care about those who are being affected. And to me, it's not right. And to me, it's a form of bullying and abuse. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's not still happening just because Tina Marie J left the church. The ICOC isn't still doing these things. They are still doing these things, because I still get emails from people who's been in the church. I left the church in 2016. I joined in 2009. It was the same. It was the same in the 80s and the early 90s, and it's the same now, and it's the same in 2021. It was the same in 2020 and the same in 2019. It's going to be the same in 2022 and 2023 and 2024 to 2025. And it may be the same forever, because there's always going to be people that's going to fall for it. But you just don't want to be one of those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to be one of those people. We're not. Nope. Not today. We're not doing that today, honey. No. So make sure that you pay attention to your red flags. Make sure you pay attention. Pay attention to the signs. I have no problem exposing the truth to you guys. I have no problem telling you what it is. I'll always tell you what it is. But you just do your job and you pay attention to the red flags, because then that's your way of protecting yourself, protecting your spirituality, protecting your heart. This is not about being a Christian or about being a follower of Christ. This is about being a part of a group that will take you and pull you down. It has nothing to do with God. Nothing at all to do with God. It has to do with people who are crazy and don't know what they're doing. I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have said that, but I did. I'm sorry, I did. Because to me, you got to be crazy to actually think that this is okay. To think that this is okay and to do it and to deliberately continue to mess around people's mind. Granted, there are people in this church who do have good intentions and good hearts. But then I have come in contact with many people in this church who, to me, didn't. Their intention was, she needs to be here because she needs to listen and we need to control her. And we know that we're right, so we need to make her listen. The good intention is they want you to get to heaven. The bad intention is what it takes to make you listen to them. And that's the problem. That's the problem with this church. So those are the crazy ones that I speak of. Sometimes I just try not to say too much, but sometimes my filter, it goes out of service for a little while. So it went out of service for a minute. So I apologize. But at the same time, I don't apologize for saying what I said, because I meant what I said. I just apologize for saying it at this moment. Oh my God. All right, guys, I'm done. I talk too much because, I'll go on and on. I will get into this forever, for days. So guys, I have the link down in the description. I have it on the screen here. I do one-on-one coaching calls. So if you want to do a free consultation with me, look down below in the description box. I have a Google form you fill out. And if you want to book a meeting with me, I have my calendar down below. You could book a meeting. I have all my availability in there. So let me know what's up with that. If you guys want to chit chat with me, like, what's up? Talk to me. Or you could just send me a DM. Also, where's my banner? I got so many banners in here. Also, let me get rid of this. My link for my Facebook group. If you're an ex-cult member and you're dealing with the trauma of leaving a cult, then join my Beautiful Souls Recovery group. I have it on Facebook. So for that, there's just 2 questions. And please, for the love of all the golds, answer the questions. Just answer the questions. 2 questions. It's such a pet peeve when people... there's no way you don't see it. There's no way. It's just answer the 2 questions. It doesn't have to be your life story. Just like 1 sentence, a quick breakdown. That's just for me to get to know a little bit about your needs and what you're here for. And also for me to be able to tell, is this person, if they might be a troll or not. Like, you can't just join the group and never have been in a cult. Then you're not allowed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have been affected by some sort of controlling group or something. So please, for the love of the golds, answer the question before I go crazy. It drives me nuts. Oh my God. You guys, I can't with you right now. I literally can't. Y'all crack me up. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to show you is my Tell 'em Talks with Tina. So this is back out again. So first of all, thank you for those of you who rushed to hit me up and to request to be able to do this podcast interview with me. I already have some people in line that I have scheduled to do them with, so I'm super excited about that. So I am looking for just a few more people to share their experience. I would like to know I would like to hear from those of you who were a part of a cult, who went into the cult married and you came out and your marriage is all screwed up. I would love to hear your story. So if you went into the cult as a married couple and you came out and it got all screwed up, like, I'm not judging. Mine's got screwed up too. I talk all about it. Then please hit me up because I would like to hear from you. Also, if you were a campus student, I would like to hear from you. And if you're a part of the LGBTQ plus community, I would love to hear from you guys. I would love it. So please do send me a message on my DM, or you could even send me an email. All right, that's it. We about to go 40 minutes. That's it. We done. I love you guys all so much. Enjoy the rest of your day or your evening, your night, whatever. Bye.